I don't want to be told what to do on my platform.
If Huda had said something similar about another disadvantaged community like blacks, would she still be in Sephora?
She is a top beauty brand, and that's why it's sad that Sephora isn't doing anything. They're handcuffed by her revenue. Sydney Sweeney launches a lingerie line because we know the girl is known for her eyes. But the way that she did it is it singles a larger trend of this like litigation marketing.
Guerrilla marketing has always been something we love, like doing things that are not normal to get attention to yourself. So I commend her on that. I just didn't think the piece was that interesting.
The Nike Skims collaboration. So they brought in new color waves. This campaign and the collection feels distinctly Nike Skims. Like I feel like Nike Skims has an identity.
Why is Nike in it? Like Skims could have, there was nothing about that piece of content that speaks to Nike for me, but it could have been 100% Skims.
Curse campaign, the Kendall Jenner and Fanatics. Like
I thought this campaign was intelligent, saying, I'm a powerful woman, you know what I mean? And if men fall so in love with me that they can't play sports after, that's their issue, not mine.
what do you think of the Pepsi Zero Sugar and the Polar Bear Super Bowl campaign?
If I was Coke, I would do a campaign and make that polar bear look like an influencer for sale.
The whole time I was watching the Pepsi commercial, all I was thinking about was Coca-Cola. So a question that I had for you is, should X rebrand back to Twitter?
I think it's an indication that Twitter was great.
Can we just like make the halftime shows like great again? Can we bring back like the Spice Girls maybe, or like
Did you say make the hack shows great again?
What a brand, what a brand, what a brand, what a mighty good brand. Say it again now. What a brand, what a brand, what a brand, what a mighty good brand.
welcome back to another episode of Art of the Brand. This week we are coming from the podcast studio, but we will be shooting in a bunch of different locations over the coming weeks because we have some crazy work travel ahead of us.
Next week it's Super Bowl.
Yeah, next week we're shooting live from the Super Bowl.
Next week.
And then the Sunday afterwards, we're going to be shooting from Paris. And there's going to be a Rome leg in between there, but we're not going to be landing on a Sunday. So we'll be recording in Paris.
We received some incoming rounds this week from some of the people who follow our content online. And I want to give you an opportunity to talk about what went on this week. And let's break down a little bit of controversy.
Yeah, so I was analyzing the Huda beauty brand, not Huda Katan.
Yeah.
Huda beauty brand has generated hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars per year. So the paid ad strategy that goes direct to her website, not even her Sephora sales, which are insane. She's a top 3 beauty brand. She generates so much revenue for Sephora. But her paid ad strategy, which is direct to her website, is also doing over $75 million a year. And I did a breakdown of when you need organic to scale a community. But then organic has a ceiling. Like you need to have paid on top of it, and you need to have paid through tiers. Like you have to understand how to build the entire funnel in order to take awareness to a conversion. And that's what the swipe through was on.
So you were trying to teach listeners and people who follow you something that this business has done that was incredibly successful.
Yeah, it was a branding and a business insight. And that's what made it sticky, is that people are like, how dare you basically promote someone that's bad? Like, why would you give somebody a platform? You're basically their intern celebrating a human for what she's done versus analyzing a business and branding strategy, which I do 5 days a week.
What I thought was helpful or authentic to share is that you wanted to pull it down, and we had kind of a conversation for a day or so because the hate was coming out, and we were kind of thinking like, where do our values lie? Should we pull it down because what a founder is saying, even though it's good content for the followers and the business is relevant in the market?
I don't want to be told what to do on my platform. If I posted something on my platform, I will take the opportunity to talk about it. I want to learn. When I say things that are wrong or can be improved or can be changed, I want the opportunity to have the dialogue and to discuss. But this is the business of brand. Like this platform is where we break down what your business can learn from other businesses. And it's complicated because I don't think people are wrong. I don't agree with the decision that she has made and why she would do that for her business. But ultimately, what frustrates me more is that she's really had no ramifications from her Western partners. So, which is probably the direction that you're going to go with this. What do you think?
There's a lot of layers here, I think, to unpack that could be useful for people listening. Is when I bought my Cybertruck, I had people giving me the finger because of what the founder did. So from a branding perspective, you can have a business that's very good, but a founder who doesn't align with people's views,
Yeah.
right? Now, I don't think that's a fair equivalency because Elon's sin was that he supported Trump, but he wasn't saying the ridiculous lies that Huda was saying, right?
Yeah.
But the question is, like, founders play a part. Not the question. The point is, founders can play a part in a brand, especially as you're growing. Once you get a dominant position, it's harder to knock them off. And they haven't been able to cancel Huda, even though she's saying things that are crazy.
And wrong.
Yeah. And what upsets me at kind of a macro level is, and I would ask the liberals to chime in, like if Huda had said something similar about another disadvantaged community like blacks, would she still be in Sephora?
No.
So the question is why? Is there an unfair application of outrage amongst liberals or amongst the corporate world, which is ESG? Because why does it seem okay to be able to talk that way about one community in a completely hateful and dishonest manner, not just the Jewish community, but also to the Iranians who are fighting for their freedoms when she's supporting the Iranian regime? Like my post on Iran got millions of views pointing out that none of the people protesting for Palestine are protesting for Iran. Like and where this leads me to is online. What I want to share with people is outrage. If you have outrage, it's a sign you're a slave, right? What we have to do is think. And what's going on online all the time is just outrage. And where we're calling for people to be canceled, whatever, we can have a discussion. You were having a discussion about a brand strategy of a very successful beauty brand,
Very successful
right?
brand.
That had relevance and utility to your listeners. Then the founder does something that people disagree with because it's off the charts assholic. And then people say you're not allowed to say it. And that's where we kind of had this moral back and forth. It's like, no, this is relevant to the business of brand. And it doesn't mean that I support a retarded founder is saying,
Yeah.
But-
I don't at all.
but we can't live in a world where you say, take it down. Right? In my strategic principles, I study my enemies. I study people I hate. I want to know what
More.
works.
You
Yeah.
know, like study the enemies more than the people who like that's Machiavelli. Like that is
Because by sharing that strategy, it allows somebody else to copy it so we can knock them out if Sephora doesn't have the balls to kick her out of the shop, which I think they should, but I don't see the movement asking her to be kicked out. But I guarantee you, if she said the same thing about the black community in the US, she would not be on the show.
or LGBTQ.
Or any, but
Yep.
why is it okay to talk so disparagingly and dishonestly about the Jewish community,
It's not okay.
right?
But you bring up a really good point, and that's why I agree with you that I want to have a platform where people disagree, and many of you who listen week over week, you'll disagree with different points. I want you to reach out and share that. I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to improve, but when my team is using these strategies and things that I'm seeing online and it's working for brands and they're getting ahead, that's my promise to you. Is every week you're going to show up and you're going to be able to learn things and take away things that we're using and that are working. And she is a top beauty brand, and that's why it's sad that Sephora isn't doing anything. They're handcuffed by her revenue and they're not deciding to make a change. They've pulled her from some major campaigns, but she's in a dangerous position now because it's an Icarus story.
Hmm.
And she's not the reason alone for where the business has gone today. And we need to be able to analyze the strategies that the very smart people that are paid to work on that company are doing, because her sales are through the roof. And if we only ignore her because she's an idiot, which we're now saying multiple times, she's an idiot.
I don't even know if she's an idiot. She could be a brilliant strategist, just like some people in other armies who are our enemies can be brilliant strategists. Like her strategy can be, my audience is predominantly anti-Semitic. That policy, if you're untouchable, like if you don't live in the US or the US protesters aren't going to do anything about
Yeah, they're
racism against these
Yeah.
people, right? Then we've actually emboldened that type of racism, and then a smart strategist could use it and not care what some people think.
There's obviously an intelligence to it in what you're saying.
There could be.
There could be.
It's probably just pure narcissist
Yeah.
ridiculous.
That's how I feel about it in the end. Is that like I feel that it's an Icarus story where she's gone too close to the sun. She feels like because she built this platform, she can say whatever she wants because it's her voice and her thoughts and her words. But I believe that you should be held to a higher standard when you have that level of a platform and you have that level of followers you can believe what you want to believe, but like what she said in the first canceling is not historically accurate. That's where it becomes, to me, more than gray. Like, it's black or white at that point. Like, you need to be held to some standard.
If you were to say something equally as disparaging about the Prophet Muhammad, you would be canceled. People would come after your life,
Yeah.
right? So what's bothering me is there's not enough balance on the people who are outraged. But the point that I want to share with our listeners is what I've been seeing recently is people are losing their creativity and their own ability to think and build strategy because they're fixated on this outrage cycle.
Yeah.
Every 4 days, you're outraged about something else. You put a pin on, next week, you got another pin on. And then you never really follow up with what happened. That tells us that there are architects in our society that are making us outraged about things
Yeah.
to stop us from thinking, to stop us from being creative. When we're calm and we're not outraged, we can have a discussion with people we don't agree with. We can actually read about stuff. We can think about it. We can do purposeful, intelligent things. But if you're outraged, you're not thinking and you're not free. And I just want to share with the people who are upset about politics. We're not about politics. We're about the business of brand. But try to step back from the outrage and try to think a little bit more before sending hate tweets.
Yeah, that was a great point. Let's move on to the SYRN launch. So Sydney Sweeney launches a lingerie line because we know the girl is known for her eyes. But the way that she did it is it singles a larger trend of this like litigation marketing where so the whole idea is that days before the launch, she is caught throwing bras on the Hollywood sign, gives kind of energy of like 2007 Britney Spears, and she gets like arrested and it's police are investigating and it's this whole headline on TMZ and there's footage. And then cut to a few days later and SYRN is launched, her new lingerie brand. What do you think about this, Rogue Lawyer?
It's not new. Like if you go back to the Beatles having the concert in LA on the rooftop and kind of getting shut down, right? Like there's always PR creativity. You always need people who can push the boundaries because we're in an attention world. Like we're in the business of getting attention. The lingerie I think is a smart follow up to where she is. It can make money. I found that the video was not that good. I thought it was kind of cute. But you know what I mean? Like when you're pretending to be risky, like it just seemed like a little bit curated to me. I like this term litigation marketing that you
Yeah.
came up with because you can get sued. And if you can afford the lawsuit, right? So for something like that, what the maximum award might be 10,000, 50,000, or 100,000. That's nothing compared to what your ad campaign could be. So you could make that. But I think what she's missing is there's a lot of unintended consequences. And when you go up there and you throw all that stuff up there, what if the Hollywood sign gets that done every 2 weeks now or every week now and it destroys it? Or somebody goes to do it and a kid goes to put their bra up there and dies. You could get a really bad follow-on consequence when you start playing with the law and playing with illegality. But guerrilla marketing has always been something we love, like doing things that are not normal to get attention to yourself. So I commend her on that. I just didn't think the piece was that interesting.
I think the thing that's interesting is this idea of like moving fast and taking risk. Like the launch, the brand name, all of it. I mean, it was good. But I think overall, the core theme that I want to leave you all with is this idea of understanding risk and understanding leaning in and owning a moment. So we had a client this past year who saw on a really huge celebrity in their back bathroom. They were using their product organically. And they basically wanted to start doing like reaction videos and using people to do reaction videos of this huge celebrity actually using their product. And the initial reaction was like, no, this person's legal team is going to be all over it. You're going to get sued and there's going to be a cost to this. But the kind of the larger conversation that was happening is what is the cost of that potential lawsuit going to be? It's probably going to be an overall percentage of sales is what they're probably going to come for. And giving a percentage of sales you made is better than not having any percentage to give because of sales you didn't get. And one thing that you taught me years ago that has always stayed with me is that you only have maybe 3 asymmetric upsides in your life.
3 to 5, yeah.
3 to 5, like 3 to 5 moments that will really greatly change your trajectory, get you onto a different vantage point where you're seeing the world from a different view. And when you don't act fast because you're so afraid of the potential outcome is when you stay beige and boring and you don't break through.
Beige and boring. I like it. I think The phrase we had, bet big and big, right? Because you're right. There's probably going to be 5 times in your life where you have an asymmetric upside. And most people take risks on small thing, but and I've said this to many businesses, don't go bankrupt for $2 million. Go bankrupt trying to make 500 million bucks because the result is the same at the end,
Yeah, bankrupt was bankrupt.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you've got an asymmetric opportunity and you look at it and you have a good team around you, sometimes it's worth going all in on that because the upside is 100x to you could go bankrupt next year anyhow if market changes. So, but don't be unnecessarily risky and have a good team with you.
No, like, understand risk to a point, but for how much this one client we're talking about, like, they sat on their hands, they talked about it, they went back and forth, like, they lost the moment. Like, they lost it, and I see so many brands, they overstress, they have too many cooks in the kitchen, there's so many opinions. We're in such short news cycles that if you have a moment to own it, you have to do it, and that's really the core takeaway from the story is, like, if the average person launching a brand, if you did this for the Hollywood sign, you wouldn't get the headline, right? So it's the strategy is tied to her being a person of influence and becoming this controversial figure that is, like, selling products.
That example reminds me of, and it's been in a few movies like Serendipity or whatever, but there may be 5 times in your life where you walk by somebody or you talk to somebody and you get like instant crazy chemistry, right? And if you don't kind of get up the nerve to talk to them or ask for their number, you have this small window with an asymmetric upside to meet somebody who speaks to your DNA and they leave.
Yeah.
And you think about them for the rest of your life, right? It's kind of an interesting.
Is that like Sydney Sweeney and her lingerie for you?
No, I just think from her lingerie perspective, I think there was a different angle to take what she had done with American Eagle and with her brand into that space rather than be like a bunch of kids vandalizing the Hollywood sign, which isn't really tied to the sexuality that's behind her brand. Although there was an element of courage because she was also in the news because she told reporters, I'm not talking about politics. It's not my job to talk about politics. And people were criticizing her for not talking about politics, where I commend her for not talking about politics because I don't care what actors say about politics. You're told what to say by somebody who writes a script. I don't care what you say about politics.
Let's move into the Nike Skims collaboration. So Skims,
Interesting. We're going to have a bit of a discussion on this one, I think.
yeah, well, I really liked it. They brought in new color waves. This campaign and the collection feels distinctly Nike Skims. Like, I feel like Nike Skims has an identity. And the creative was extremely captivating. It was very visual. It was engaging. You got to see the product. At first, I was a bit surprised that only Lisa was wearing the shoes because it's a big part of this launch is that they've designed their own Nike shoe, which is a big moment for them. But ultimately, where I think is the most intelligent, and they were clearly inspired by Cat's Eye and the Gap campaign. Like, there's similarities between the two, like how both of the beginnings start, because the Gap Cat's Eye campaign was so viral for getting sororities and kind of this like idea of second life for content of all these people like recreating the dance and it becoming like its own moment. So I think they did a really good job.
The video was good in that it made me look at the clothes. I thought it really showcased the clothes well so that the dancing and the backdrop was an accent to the clothes. Like I liked the backdrop. The music was good, the classical music, the kind of ballet / dance side. Like it made me pay attention because of how it was filmed. And in paying attention, I was looking at the clothes. I don't think it's necessarily a Gap ripoff because the song's not good enough to make me want to dance to it. Now they can pay people to try and recreate the dance and do all of that stuff, but it's not My Milkshake Brings All the Boys to the Yard or some of the other songs. But the question I was left at the end, and this is why, and you may know more, is why is Nike in it? Like Skims could have there was nothing about that piece of content that speaks to Nike for me, but it could have been 100% Skims.
I think that Skims could have done activewear cooler
Yeah.
than this collab with Nike. Like Nike to me is not only like not cool, but it's not doing things that are interesting. In fact, you can tell that they're trying to hold on to relevance because they're doing so many collabs, which I do think takes away from Skims more. Like there's Nike Aritzia and Nike Jacques and like there's just Nike everything right now. But it's interesting because Nike owns the athleisure market. They do $48 billion a year. So it was a boss move for Skims to partner with Nike because even though we can rip on Nike all day long, they still own the majority market share. But
No, but big players in the world of power, right? They collab with you to control you. Whereas maybe Skims has a plan to use Nike to get there, but I think Nike's market share was up for grabs, with a good campaign. But often when the biggest power collabs with you, it's to control you.
To me, there's like essence of that being there
Hmm.
because I don't like Skims does such a great job at a vibe, at a theme, at a feel, at an aesthetic, at a like an experience of when you wear the clothing that when I see the Nike clothing, it's it's cool to a young girl, but I think Skims was cool to a much broader audience because it represented this premium lounge active chillwear that really didn't exist in the market like as its own brand. Like it really was a category king and how it's expanded into more like more line cereals. I think Skims is a bright future and you're right. But I will
To me, it seems like it's part of a play to go IPO or something like that
totally
because
go.
it's a short term. Because when I watch that, I don't see any Nike. I see a lot of Skims. Love the tones. I think the clothes look very cool. I think they could have done that totally by themselves. But it takes a little bit more courage to do it. But I think doing this collab, maybe on their books when they're doing their pitch decks, say now that we're partnered with Nike, we're going to be able to get access to this amount of the market segment. I don't think it's good for the brand. I think it's probably good for the IPO.
What's complicated is that it did put Skims into a different arena. Skims had some like leggings and some like tighter like t-shirts and stuff that are not that far off than for what the Nike collab is. It's that the Skims athleisure didn't have its own clear category. Like there wasn't a clear click button that took you almost into a different part of the site, different type like side of the brand. And for them to be moving faster and getting more market share and establishing themselves as a seriously huge player when brick and mortar and retail is in a very scary place, it does change the way that I think of Skims. But to your point, I think the only area of where there's space for criticism is that Nike needs to let go because Skims is so much cooler. What Nike's getting from it, they've already gotten from it.
I don't think it does a lot for Skims's brand. I think it does more for Nike's brand. I don't know why. Obviously, I'm not in the boardroom behind it, but I think Skims could have taken that market share. Now that they've collabed with Nike, I don't feel they have an athleisure brand. I feel they have a collab with Nike. So I don't know where it goes.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Okay, well, we'll leave that there. The only thing I really wanted to talk about though on that campaign is this larger theme that we're gonna get to of like algorithm native storytelling. In that what these creative concepts we're gonna talk about today, like what they're doing is they're creating a second and a third and a fourth life online. It's creating a larger conversation. So that one ad creative, I've now seen 100 videos of people like recreating it, talking about it because it was so visually aesthetic. So the idea is focus more on entertainment, focus more on making a short video that's like a TV show. Like it was totally captivating and to the point, like I never really got to the end, but I watched the video so many times because there were so many things happening throughout it. And I've loved watching the split screen of one person doing the dance to there being like 15 on the screens, like the kind of the experience. And it's something that is like so nice to be able to keep watching. It's kind of like a brain rot. Like I can just keep scrolling through it and see it. I love it.
One thing I was watching a lot is that kind of Do the Dougie song with the Enya remix. Like
Oh, yeah.
I found that captivating, but there was no brand behind that or on top of it. And it was a very viral
Well, you're
dance.
seeing this with even like Taylor Swift and Ophelia. When you look at the songs that have been breaking out and have been, and even the Cat's Eye Gap, like it becomes its own second life of people wanting to recreate the moment. Like that's the way to really sell is for people to not feel like they're being sold to.
But that's what I think the Nike Skims is. Most of the content that goes viral is the one that goes viral because they made something authentically good, not when you're just kind of copying it, you know what I mean, and trying to recreate it. So there's a fine line between trying to be authentic and viral and just making great, like people are hungry to be entertained. We're not getting it from Netflix that much anymore. We're not getting it from Hollywood. People are hungry for real entertainment. So if you're taking shortcuts to get views, that's not real entertainment. You can make it entertaining with a lot of money, but I think for most of our listeners in the business who follow us, try to entertain and educate in a real way, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, and totally. So one of the things that I was studying, because I watched a segment on heated rivalry. Like I actually watched a part of the show, and it was interesting. I can understand why the show has gone so viral with such a low budget. Is that they designed the entire show for algorithm native storytelling. So like everything is very short, like micro moments, almost that idea of like the second screen where because these clips have to live online, they're packing so much emotion into such tight shots and small moments and windows so that if you saw the clips online, you know exactly what happened in the show, but enough that brings you to go and watch it, which is what has made the show such a sensation.
It's interesting because the story arc that used to be so mandatory for a good novel, for a good screenplay, for a good movie, you know, that still exists, but it's almost like there's a new story arc for short form content that is becoming more popular and more profitable because I'm seeing, even in preparing for the podcast and some of the Super Bowl, as we're talking about, it's like the celebrities are moving to commercials because there's more money in this kind of short form branding ecosphere than there is in the movies now.
That even leads to the next one, like, when you talk about the curse campaign, the Kendall Jenner and Fanatics, like, what's interesting is even that campaign, which speaks to, like, a larger theme, taps into the zeitgeist, brings in culture, like, there's context and, like, deeper understanding to what makes that creative good, but they also created additional creatives around that creative so that it would have this bigger moment. Right? So it's like becoming, to your point, when you're saying obviously that's where the money is because betting has a ton of money and a lot of these Super Bowl commercials have a ton of money. But outside of that, they're also becoming extremely relevant cultural moments. And they have for a long time. I'm not saying commercials haven't been, but it's interesting how they're dovetailing into socials and creating these different moments and different vignettes and different reactions that is proliferating in a way that feels more 4D.
What do you mean by 4D?
It's interesting because we would used to watch a commercial and the commercial would be good, and then maybe we'd go home in the office and we would, like, talk about it, right? Like, that would be kind of it. Now these commercials that are good, they become, like, moments. Like, for example, like, the Kendall Jenner one, they did, like, a whole billboard campaign that says, like, "Cursed with a K?" question mark.
That's a moment?
They're hyping it up, so they had a date underneath it for, like, when the creative was gonna be launched, and then there was all these people online that were probably paid to talk about the creative and, like, react to it, and then there was people that were reacting to the reaction of, like, "This is so genius." So they're creating kind of these larger moments around an investment in a creative campaign for earned media value.
I don't think it's creating moments. I think there used to be moments like I'd like to teach the world to sing or certain areas. And I think modern agencies and creative are trying to reclaim some moments by regurgitating what's done in the past. But I'm not really seeing moments being created. I'm just seeing, and that's why I asked you about the D because it's dimensional, but I think everything is less deep in general. But what I want to talk about Kendall's curse thing is I love that the phrase that Katja came up with, the narrative reclamation. She kind of
Reclaiming the
like she checked this thing that seemed negative and owned it. And I love that. And I want people to not be the victim always. Like wherever you're going, go there with courage and boldness. And if you get something that seems negative, just reclaim the narrative, own it. And I think she did that beautifully with this particular campaign. I thought this campaign was intelligent, saying, I'm a powerful woman. You know what I mean? And if men fall so in love with me that they can't play sports after, that's their issue, not mine.
I wanna get back to what you said, but when I was saying, like, the moment, she went, like, the day after it went live on Jimmy Fallon. She went on the day after on Jimmy Fallon, and the whole thing was, like, her talking about, that campaign, and, like, you can tell that they had placed her on the show as a PR piece for the creative, and then on the show, she, like, randomly, air quotes, FaceTimes Tom Brady to ask Tom Brady who's gonna win the Super Bowl because
Yeah.
she's betting it with Fanatics, and if she wins, it goes to charity, and if Fanatics wins, it goes to charity, and
It's brilliant
it's so
marketing
smart.
at every level. Like it's like it's a coordinated, synchronized campaign to hit. That's the four-dimensional, I think,
Yeah,
because you're
that
hitting
was the
many
core point that I forgot.
you're hitting many dimensions of the space, like, and
But
that
you know why though? Because when you said, "I'd like to teach the world to sing," like that iconic Coke commercial, it was iconic, but it was repeated, right? So, like, every Sunday night when you'd go home, you'd probably see it twice or 3 times, and if you watch TV throughout the week, you would see it multiple
no, but I think
times.
the first time people saw it, it hit everybody. Like, we're still
But
talking about it half a century
but
later.
my point is, if that Fanatics ad got 7 million views, it's a lot of 7 million views one time,
Yeah, like,
right?
it
Like,
just disappears.
it go like and that's why when I say that the four-dimensional angle is interesting is that the old TV programming is that you would purchase multiple buy spots with that investment. Now you don't really have that.
Because there's not a controlled element of advertising spots
Yeah.
that you can buy with
Yeah.
money, so, you're constantly fighting for attention.
And that's why I thought it was interesting is that and then there was, like, these crumbs of, like, she's, like, fake flirt texting online with Devin Booker, which is, like, one of her ex-boyfriends that is a part of this Curse with a K, and there's all this it's another, topic I wanna talk about, this, like, crumb-based marketing, where the new strategy is to, like, drop all these crumbs that allow people to connect
Follow
the
you
dots. Yeah, follow
follow you
you.
into the Hansel and Gretel's, whatever that
So that the
that
idea is that
yeah.
you knew what was coming, like, you're this intelligent, special person that can be like, "Aha," like, so for one example, the whole, like there was a moment on the internet a week ago where Alex Earl and Tom Brady were seen together, and there was all these speculations of, like, "Are they dating?" And they're probably gonna have a Super Bowl commercial together. Like, it's probably a crumb for them having this commercial together, and the same thing for The Wuthering Heights right now. It's like the movie there's the Oscars are coming up, and it's, Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie, and now you're just seeing all this stuff of she just talked about, like, how Jacob sent her roses and, like, Pop Apologies, another podcast, was like, she's literally married. Like, the PR for the movie is not even that she's, like, being bad, like, cheating on her husband. It's that they're just manifesting that this love that's in the movie, there's a potential for it in real life without like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're doing all this crumb-based
I
stuff.
like the guys that work within psychological operations have moved into some of these campaigns because it's actually a very well done manipulation of reality, like, of artificial reality.
Yes, that's it. You nailed it. Artificial reality.
To make people think that they're actually making these conclusions because of their own intelligence, but they're really, when you say breadcrumbs, they're being led down a path to say, okay, now you're gonna think this is happening. Now you're gonna worry about this. Now you're gonna see this, and so you're gonna pay attention to our movie or our ad.
Well, another one was they, like, took this still, so I guess one of the outfits in the movie is, like, a latex version of, like, a dress from that time period. And
Mm.
people are, like, blowing up. Like, the whole point is, like, they're taking these moments and they're putting them out online to it's this whole Marty Supreme idea. My question is just, like, where does this go? Like, if the expectation for every commercial and every movie is to have so much hype and awareness online, what does this look like 3 years from now? Like, is it Macy Day parades of, like, huge parades going down the street talking about the movies?
There's cycles of kind of sacrilegious behavior that can go on in advertising and marketing where there's more of an appetite for it, and then you'll see a regress to traditional, more beautiful things. But what it tells our listeners is anybody, creative is king and context is king, right? But good creative doesn't exist in most places. It is a rare art to know how to do creative in a good way, and most people are just phoning in creative.
You're right. You're right. Well, talking about phoning in creative, what do you think of the Pepsi Zero Sugar and the Polar Bear Super Bowl campaign?
A polar bear is not intellectual property. So if you tie your brand to the sun, you can't stop somebody from using a picture of the sun, right? That animated polar bear was a strong icon of Coke. So what Pepsi did, which was interesting, which is use the polar bear in it's not that intelligent really, but the polar bear chose Pepsi, right? And
In
then
a blind taste test.
in a blind taste test, right? And so people are like, oh, should they do this? The cola wars are starting again. First of all, war is good for business, whether you like it. So the cola war is resurfacing is great. But what I think Pepsi has done, it goes to some of the things I've been talking about, is given Coke a beautiful opportunity. Because what I would do is a campaign, and I'm giving this for free, and I know you'll get angry at me. If I was Coke, I would do a campaign and make that polar bear look like an influencer for sale, right? Because
Amazing.
that's what's going on in the world is, endorsements, everything, like it's all fake. And so I would just do a commercial of actual real polar bears, like cool polar bears who haven't sold themselves out. And I would make that polar bear into the shallow influencer that Pepsi people brought in and put makeup on and did the whole, like I would actually make it look like Pepsi gave the polar bear the right answer, because no, it's not real. It's an animated polar bear. Like you can, the polar bear didn't actually choose Pepsi.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
So we can say as Coke, if you want to hire us, I could do a campaign that says showing Pepsi executives gaming the system so the polar bear knew which one to pick. And he was just a for sale influencer. And then the cool polar bears are over here just enjoying life with a real Coke. That campaign is worth millions.
Okay, thank you, Philip, for your genius. You know what? Like the whole time I was watching the Pepsi commercial, all I was thinking about was Coca-Cola.
Ah, interesting. Yeah.
And for as clever as they think they were,
Smart.
all I was thinking is that's the Coca-Cola bear. Obviously the Coca-Cola bear would like Coke. This is AI. Like,
Yeah.
like that's all that was all I was thinking. And what was interesting about it is it didn't make me want Pepsi more. It actually made me want to support Coke.
Nostalgia. Make
Yeah.
nostalgia for
Yeah,
Coke.
for Coke.
But I just think Coke should lean into it because, like, sadly, war is good for business and people pay attention. They should just go at each other with campaigns.
But like the idea of it starting a war is so smart, but I feel like my response to the alternative campaign would be something like, you don't have anything iconic for us to leverage.
Like, what would you be, like a sign?
No, like they have a slew of like let's should we bring back the brutal Kendall Jenner Pepsi campaign? Like,
Michael
nah.
Jackson.
Let's wait. Like it's just like that would be like almost like my
That's very interesting.
my mean girl response of like, you've got nothing iconic that we can take.
Yeah.
So-
So you could show a boardroom of Coke executives. What are we going to attack of a Pepsi that's iconic? And you could just kind of be laughing at all the.
Kendall Jenner campaign. Oh yeah, really badly done. Like
Ah.
I feel like that would be probably
Get a real human who is part of it as opposed to an animation.
yeah. Like,
That's fascinating. I wish somebody would bring us in the boardroom for that.
I
Are we going to talk about Tyra for a little bit, or are we passing on Tyra?
I don't know. Like it's fake controversy.
Yeah, it's performance outrage.
It's fake.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can talk about that for a hot second. So like I'm sure you guys have seen it online. Like there's the what was the show called?
America's Top Model.
America's Top Model. So
Yeah.
America's Top Model there's like a spicy documentary coming out for like how horrible they were and how accepted that was during that time. And she's now coming forward and the other cast members of kind of like retribution of how bad it was. And there's like fake clips online that like she's gonna get hammered and this is gonna be bad. And I'm like, she's narrating the documentary. Like this is performative marketing. This is fake. Like this isn't like she got busted for saying stupid in an interview last week. It was literally set up to be an inflammatory documentary.
It's a shame because it might be the only way for her to be relevant is to go back and attack her former self where she actually did something that was empowering. She went on TV, she owned the moment, she had high standards, she didn't apologize for it, and people knew what it took to get into that industry. So to me, what she did back then was strong, right? What she's doing now is incredibly weak and it's just performative outrage. And the people kind of crying, oh, I wanted to be a model, but that was so hard. I'm like, well, what did you think being a model was? They made me be skinny. Well, what did you think you had to do?
I know.
Like, but our society has devolved into this cesspool of like, I've been treated so badly. And it's actually trying to make money because people want to see people at their deep psychology want to see people embarrassed and brought down who are
Yeah.
big. And so what Tyra Banks is doing, she's just selling herself so that she can appear to be brought down because it makes people feel good about themselves who could never be models.
So a question that I had for you is, should X rebrand back to Twitter? We've gone back and forth internally, and what was interesting is the last speaking engagement I was at the day after Harvard, somebody asked me a question and they said X and they corrected themselves to let the entire room know that it was formerly Twitter. Like they're still correcting X as formerly Twitter. And at this point, like this rebrand has now happened years ago. Is that an indication that the name is bad?
I think it's an indication that Twitter was great. right? And there's like a zeitgeist issue in it, in that Elon took a huge risk to buy that completely failing company. And if anybody's interested in business and not just political outrage, analyze what happened. He fired 80% of the people, and the company ran better in 3 months. That's what we need to do to a lot of government, a lot of these other institutions that are just constantly complaining. So Elon has a brand. He loves X. He's got SpaceX. I think he might name it Kid X. Like, he likes
Oh, he's
X,
got a kid named X.
right?
Yeah.
He likes the symbol X. The problem is X isn't a verb. You know what I mean? You can't like X somebody, right? Like, it's breaking up with them. Twitter was a great,
Because you could tweet.
because you could tweet. So there was a verb to it that caught on, like, and that was brilliant branding by Dorsey, right? And so everybody to this day still says, I'm going to post on X, Twitter. You know, everybody is always saying,
I'm going to send a tweet. I'm going to tweet.
yeah, like, and so
Because
they're
what do you
always
say on
correct.
X? I'm going to send out a note.
Yeah, you can't, like,
There's no, they didn't give you the language that went with, like, so for Instagram, I'm going to post,
yeah,
you know, like, so
yeah.
it, on TikTok, I'm going to post, but like on X, because it's less of like a thing I'm putting out there, I'm like more almost texting someone because it's so text based.
But
It-
that was the secret sauce of Twitter, is this kind of tweet, right? It wasn't as heavy of a task, and you could have these dialogues. Like, if I was sitting down with Elon, I'd probably say the ultimate act of power is to say it's now ready to be Twitter again, right? And just allow the language to flow nicely. But Twitter just doesn't sound as strong. X is now the most popular news source in the world, whether you like it or not. Like, the most people in the world are going there for news right now.
I just can't, I don't get it. Like whenever I open it, I'm like, goodbye. Like I got to get out. Like it just,
The algorithm takes too long. Like, but that's actually why some people, like, the algorithm, I find, in a way, doesn't, it's not as enjoyable as the other platforms
no,
in some ways. But, and I don't find the search mechanism is as good. Like, what they should buy Ground News. I don't know if you've heard of Ground News, but it's this growing platform that for every news story gives you angles of it from one side of the spectrum, another side of the spectrum, how much balance there is. Like, it really gives you, like, if you're a critical thinker, and we should be sponsored by Ground News, but we're not. But I would go there if you want to see how a story is being treated in the media. If you go there, you'll see all of the angles from the different areas and where they lean and how they're covering it.
fascinating.
So you could come up to it. And I think that's where X should go, as opposed to this tweet algorithm in the past. But
That's super fascinating. I wanted to take a moment to talk about our predictions for the Super Bowl ads, and then of the ads we saw, which ones we liked the best and why.
as we go into the Super Bowl, I think the people love storytelling, and it's a great Super Bowl when you look at the quarterback stories, right? You have a brand new one, right, who's kind of replaced Tom Brady in the Patriots, and they've got there without him. There's a great story there. I think he's a rookie. And then you have the Seahawks quarterback, who's been a journeyman for decades, never made it, was kind of washed up, and this is the chance. So you really have this, you have two
Great story.
quarterbacks who kind of deserve to be heroes. And it's just the beautiful kind of American conflict in sports that people love from a branding perspective. So the Super Bowl should be really interesting.
I meant the ads.
I know the ads. I just
Okay.
thought that was, story matters,
Story does.
right? Like, you can tell a story about each quarterback.
What do you think about do you know anything about the halftime show?
With Bad Bunny, the guy who lives in Puerto Rico and says he hates the U.S.
Oh, you have to see?
Yeah.
Is that a whole thing?
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why he was necessarily chosen.
He's like the number one Latin American singer in the world or something crazy like that. Like he's got a huge following for Latin. Like people go nuts for him, but I don't really know. Like I know he was dating Kendall Jenner for a hot minute, but can we just like make the halftime shows like great again? Can we bring back like the Spice Girls maybe, or like
Did you say make the halftime shows great again?
yeah,
And
bring back like I think okay, not gonna lie, I use that tagline all the time. Like I think everything could be made great again. Like Trump understands great microscripts.
yeah.
Like I feel like the last few Super Bowls were like artistic representations of self than like full blown entertainment. Like I like when Snoop Dogg comes out and then like Flo Rida and Ludacris comes and then we got like Madonna and then we like Spice Girls pop out of a cannon. Like that's my kind of Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't find the Super Bowl actually reflects the viewers. in many cases. Like, like I'd like to see a combination of the genres because everybody likes,
That's what I love the most.
Latinos,
Yeah, like,
Black
let's get
community,
yeah,
the country
like
community.
Missy Elliott with country music, and then we bring
But
one more time,
please,
Backstreet Boys.
let's not butcher the national anthem. Hands down, you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Best national anthem at a Super Bowl ever is Stapleton.
Oh, yeah. That just
Like,
still gives
oof.
me goosebumps to think about.
Like
But
a national anthem is not something to be perverted into a fucking sideshow. Right? The
Sorry.
national anthem is something that is supposed to evoke pride in your nation.
That's the core point of the
Right.
anthem. It's an anthem,
Right?
right? Everyone, it like makes people feel. They set up, they sing, they like
No,
belt
and it
it.
represents centuries of history of the country in a way. Like it's not, but people
It's a
always,
great anthem.
it's an
It's
amazing
an
anthem.
amazing anthem.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about those ads. So what I thought was interesting is the Pringles, they've launched like teaser ads with Sabrina Carpenter before the Super Bowl. Again, it's like that whole Crumbs thing. Like we know she's going to be in one and we're only seeing like certain vignettes so that it drives hype and it's bringing younger eyeballs to the Super Bowl too, which is interesting.
Honestly, I think more money is being paid on Super Bowl ads than in some Hollywood production week.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's where entertainment money is going.
I loved the Andy Cohen one, the Meal Diamond.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. But honestly, like, I feel like for those of you who haven't watched the movie Idiocracy, it's like we're moving in that direction where entertainment is now being made into 30 and 60-second scripts because we have become comfortably dumb
It's true.
and we don't want to actually invest in a storyline. And so part of me says, yeah, that Andy Samberg thing was funny. He's a funny guy. But I also kind of feel like the celebrities are kind of going from making Francis Ford Coppola type movies where there was real character development to putting a banana on their head and dancing around like
I thought that the
Ben
Ben,
Stiller
I'm
does.
surprised that you said that. I thought the Ben Stiller, Benson Boone one was great because not only is it entertaining, but it speaks to a real pain point in Instacart. And what they're saying is like you pick your own bananas and carrots. Because what sucks when you order Instacart, which I do 3 times a week, because I hate going to the grocery store. I hate when I order produce and they intentionally picked the worst apple in the pile. Like that's the worst part of Instacart is that when you need to buy like produce, they pick the worst ones.
I don't think they pick the worst ones. I think they don't care the same way if they were buying their own.
I want you to care. I'm
Hey-
paying you a tip.
No, that's where everybody should save the tip. You know how they get the tip at the beginning?
Yeah.
You say, no, I'm only going to tip at the end after I look at my produce. But was it, so that was that Instagram saying you can pick your bananas?
Yes, the whole commercial.
But how can you pick your bananas?
I guess, I mean, I'm sure the US got it first, Philip. I'm sure they have like,
No,
they
say, how
FaceTime
you-
you when they're at the banana
Well,
stand.
that's kind of
And then
annoying.
you
I don't want to
pick-
be on FaceTime. I did it so I didn't have to shop.
I don't care
Pick your
about
bananas.
selecting my bananas over FaceTime with my Instacart shopper. I care about taking that additional hour when I'm at the office
No,
until
no, no,
8
no, no. Listen,
to go to the grocery store,
this is another dumb thing.
stand in line.
This is another dumb thing. Just pick good bananas. I don't want to get a FaceTime while you're at the bananas. Like from a place.
Maybe
I
with
want,
like a training and SOP protocol. So like the Instacart drivers, they go, or pickers, they go through like, so, but then there's going to be this, the problem is that we are a part of the solution is because we don't go in store, they're able to give us inventory that they're not able to get from the in-store shoppers.
yeah, but the person going in is an in-store shopper. They're walking around with a cart picking the stuff up.
I
They're not-
understand,
Yeah.
but I feel like I just cracked something.
It's a
These
shame that.
motherfuckers,
Go ahead.
they knew that we weren't going into the store, so they've been giving us the shitty produce
No,
that
they
nobody
can, but
wanted to
it
buy.
doesn't make me want to go back to the store. But it's a shame that the Instacart shoppers can't have a brand where they're like, I picked the best produce.
Could you imagine? I'd pay
Yeah.
extra for that guy.
Oh God, I would 100%.
I know.
And
Imagine.
that's the rating. So whenever you get bad produce, you should just leave it. Bad produce. You didn't do a good job. Learn how to feel up a watermelon.
So that
That's
would be the
it.
difference if they hired us.
That would have been the content I would have done.
We would be showing how we're training the Instacart pickers to knock the right watermelons. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I'm not
I
saying that it
really like
wasn't.
that ad, though.
I wouldn't say it was fun production value, but it's like 30 seconds of people. Like everything that we're doing in production that's entertaining is rooted in decades old things. Like that's a 70s take on rock bands.
Yeah,
right?
but it's also
We're not making things that are interesting today.
But that's also Benson Boone's style,
Yeah.
right? So he's kind of reviving this, like, he's got an ABBA jumpsuit on, but it's more, it's like more it's kind of like that David Bowie kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
energy, like, I don't know
Ziggy
why.
Stardust.
Ziggy Stardust. That like he's doing backflips. He's got he's got a solid range. He can go high. And he kind of dabbles into that androgynous
Yeah.
kind of feel. Like it's that old school rock star vibe. And he's like Benson Boon's bringing it back. He's a cool kid. I like
Oh,
him.
the 70s was the best music of all time.
Oh yeah,
Right to say.
totally. Benson
So
Boon's great.
why don't we make some good music?
You know what he sings? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh yeah? Does he get paid to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably leave it that way.
Okay. Hi. We're posting that right now, guys. The Aloe one. I hope you guys see it by the time you listen to this week. Well, do you have anything else you want to wrap everyone up with?
One thing you can take away from us is we're going to stay true to values. We're going to be good to people, and we're not going to be silenced, but we're also sensitive to the world is hard and there is unfairness out there, and we're ready to do our best to be true and authentic humans.
Oh yeah. I mean, I really believe in being a good person, but I think also being a good person is also navigating through time and space and
Yeah.
figuring things out as they roll with you.
But you know how I always said, and it's Martin Luther King's quote, you don't measure the character of a man by how they act when times are good. You measure their character by how they act when times are bad. And when a topic is emotional to you, that's when you can see how committed you are to dialogue, freedom of speech, and all of that, because it's easy to cancel other people except when it comes to your views.
So true.
Till next week, wish us luck on our travel adventures. It's exhausting, but we're going to keep coming to you with the real deal.
I'm actually excited for next week's recording because we are coming to you right after Gary V's Super Bowl party. Like we're leaving that party to record the episode. We're leaving early to record the episode in San Francisco. So it should be a good episode because we've also are going to be coming at that point off of 5 pretty big brand activations at the Super Bowl. So we'll be inspired with some good shit. See you next week, everybody.
Good pod.
Goodbye.
The world's #1 branding podcast. Subscribe, follow, and like.
Goodbye.